Hey, so a lot of times when I'm working with a dog and I'll be focusing on one specific thing and trying to communicate that either to the owner or through a YouTube video, it's there's always like 10 more things that I'm usually thinking that human language doesn't work that way. We can basically only say one thing at a time. So as I'm going through a training session, there's all these other things that I'd like to be saying, but then the moment passes and we're on to something else, and I've, technically lost the opportunity to expound on that specific thing, which would in most cases like really help the owner see their dog in a more broad spectrum, so they can have a better understanding of how their dog communicates. So what I'm doing here, and you might recognize this footage from another video. It's actually a really cool video. It's shorter than some of these ones that are, recent, that I'm getting into the longer format because I feel like that's the best way to really get deep into the concepts that I'm trying to share. So I will leave a link for that shorter video at the end of this one. So what we have here is a dog you can see on the foreground of the fence, and then there's other dogs behind the fence. And I have it paused here because the dogs behind the fence are making a real racket, and I'm getting ready to take the dog on the foreground on a walk, and I'm just kind of getting my stuff, squared away, making sure I have the water bottle and everything. And I just positioned her over there. When we got out of the gate, I just asked her to stay there and not follow me down. And because she's already developing trust with me, she was okay. And I communicated to her in a fair, clear way. So she says, okay, I don't want to be here right now, but I'll stay as long as I can watch you. And that's part of the communication. I'm using her eyes, part of the eyes, ears, nose, to communicate with her. Like if I was to dip around the corner where she couldn't see me, she would immediately get up, and either one of two things would happen. She would either come to find me, or she would just stand there and kind of shiver, maybe try and hide to get away from this chaos that these other dogs are creating in this moment here. So I'm gonna stop talking for a second, let you see what is playing out, and then I'll start recording again and tell you how this all goes down. So just a heads up, there's a couple little blips in here where you can hear some real loud dogs barking. So if you're on headphones especially, lower the volume right about now, okay? Thanks. So this is Cheeto, and when I tell you that she's got an awesome temperament, this is what I'm talking about. She's a really sweetheart. So you can see a lot's going on in this situation right here. The brown dog is kind of like the alpha dog, but it's totally just a goofball and is really emotionally immature and has no real idea of how to fulfill that role. So the result is just a lot of unstable energy, a lot of dogs barking, and a lot of just, really like uncertainty as to like what to expect. And that's part of the problem for this little white dog here that I'm trying to help. She's insecure, she has some trauma, and for her to be around a dog that's like willing to attack her at any moment is just really not a good situation for her. They they had an incident prior to me arriving where, the brown dog attacked Cheeto. And I mean, when I say attack, these are These are like mid-grade dogs. They're not like killers. They're not fighters, so you could like see a dog fight and it's not like a real dog fight. So it's just a lot of, um, gesturing and body language, a lot of vocalizations, and just a lot of like insecure energy, whether it's being expressed through timidity or dominance. It's still insecure, and pretty much every dog in this whole household situation is suffering from one level of insecurity or another, and they're each expressing it in different ways. And that's why I chose to work with the whole pack as a unit, so that I could just solve the whole problem without having to like focus on each individual dog and making a real big deal out of it. So if you'd watched the other video, you're familiar. After this situation right here, we just went for a walk, me and the white dog on the foreground of the gate. And when we got back from our walk, I'll have some footage up in here about how I communicated with the owner and how I handled the energy of these dogs when we walked into their space. So a lot of it just has to do with what's your real grounded, natural, organic expectation. Like for real, what do you feel? Like, because if you are comfortable with energy and how it's expressed, then you'll be able to read energy better, and you'll be able to respond appropriately and communicate what your intentions are much more clearly. So that's why dogs are such a good barometer of that kind of thing, because they express back to us in the immediate present moment what's the real energy vibe of the situation. So you can have dogs that are going all crazy, jumping up at the fence, barking, trying to act all stupid, and you can view that as a behavior problem where each one of those dogs needs like serious training, and or you can just be like, the energy is off. And as you realize, and this is a whole nother subject, I'm not trying to get into here too much, but the point of this video is to teach you how to influence a larger group of dogs. And there's really no way of getting around the fact that it's based really 99.5% on just your vibe. Like, yeah, you'll maybe like use some sound a little bit or have to do some stuff with the leash, but if you're not feeling it, then you can forget it. And that's what you show the dog. As soon as the dogs realize that you're grounded within yourself, and I'm not saying you gotta be an expert and you gotta have like all these years of experience with dogs, because some of the most balanced dogs, their dog owners aren't like experts. They're just very grounded people. And the dogs pick up on that. And you might know somebody in your life who has a dog who's really well behaved and just seems like really content and calm. And that might be for a lot of reasons. Maybe the person just lucked out and got a really cool dog. But usually it's got a lot to do with that person's energy, like behind the scenes. How they have learned to coexist with their dog in a way that's really non-dramatic, and the dog absorbs that level of being able to exist and function without drama, and then the dog in turn absorbs that into its whole character and becomes a much more non-dramatic living creature. Our small habits are what make up our overall output. It's like any other thing. It's like whatever you put into it and however you maintain it is going to dictate the performance of it, whether it's an engine or a lawnmower or a living thing. Like if you think stupid thoughts all the time and you're always stressed out and you eat a bunch of junk food, it's going to be hard to just like flip that switch where you can instantly like tap into like a much more grounded state to help your dog. Um, if you're jacked up on a lot of anxiety and sugar all the time and just like stress about all different things, your dog is going to just absorb that. And, that's part of just basically learning how to live with your dogs. But when it comes time to like influence a dog, especially a group of dogs that are already exhibiting like a escalated state of mind, well, being aware of these subtle things about ourselves come much more into focus, and you realize the importance of these things, and that's one awesome thing about dogs. So we're going to shift gears here, and I'm going to show some footage of when we get back from the walk and we go into the gate. The owner was wanting to put all the dogs away so no one would make a scene, and I was just like, dude, bring everybody out. That's the only way we're going to learn. So you can see some of the work that I was doing in the yard, just letting the dogs do their thing and not reacting to it, and being a force of creative energy of what I was hoping to achieve. And then I'll show you how we took them for a walk. So get ready, it's going to get a little loud with some yapping.
Affordable. I want. Sparky, go inside. This is my dog. That's Sarah. He's my youngest one.
Do you see how she's doing real good?
Shh. You know what? I'm gonna let him out.
Yeah, let him out.
That'll shut him up.
Oh man.
He was a foster at one time. Here, do you want this or do you
Yeah,
want
thanks. You can see how she's not as skittish.
it? Yeah.
Oh, what a baby.
So when we got back and walked into the backyard, the reason why all those dogs were chill, except for a few little barks, and the one had to come up and kind of show us whose yard we were actually in. But notice how I responded. I just laughed. It was funny to me because it's so cute. Because when you don't view the behavior, you view the state of mind. You don't see the same thing when the dog is like up in your face barking at you. It doesn't unnerve you because you recognize, the more subtle things about what the dog is actually motivated by to behave such a way. So what I did was I took the dominant dog for a walk with the white dog who had been previously attacked, and I just gave them both gentle corrections to make sure that they were both walking on a level plane, meaning I didn't let one dog get too far in front. I wanted them to feel like they were safe being right next to each other and they didn't need to, go farther away. And this eye contact that she's giving right here, it's little stuff like this that show you that you're truly helping the dog learn and grow, because she's communicating a tremendous amount just with the way that she made this glance here for a brief second. It's communication, and the more that you're familiar with dogs and you can not neglect when they're reaching out to you with communication, the faster you'll be able to influence them. So the reason I have this frame paused like this is to show you what the real goals are. like when I walk into a dog, situation where there's a lot of chaos and dogs behaving in a way that's not desirable, my goal isn't to how to fix the behavior and make all the dogs behave, because when you come at it from that mindset, that's how you get a lot of these like people that just want to stuff food in the dog's mouth. And don't get me wrong, like treats are like a huge valuable thing that can really help dogs and make it a lot easier for them. But treats without understanding like the proper timing and what you're actually doing with the treat, they're just going to create behavior that's uncoupled from the true state of mind of the dog. And, that to me, hey, anything is better than the worst thing, so that's definitely not the worst thing you could do for your dog. But it's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show these dogs, look, the reward for being, in the good state of mind is the desired behavior, and it's actually way more fun for the dogs to behave that way. And when they communicate like this with an eye contact like this, which is really sincere and organic, and you can just feel the stress just almost like leaving out of her whole aura, that's what shows you that you're actually teaching the dog for real. Like, hey, look, you can take this weight off because I'm here to help you carry it, so you can just put it down off your shoulders and not have to worry about it. And when the dog realizes that that's what's really going on, the amount of trust and the amount of cooperation that they're willing to give to the person who can convey that vibe to them is just immeasurable. And that's how you start to be able to teach your dog how to pretty much behave any way you want, because you just can communicate to them in a really, really fair way that makes a lot of sense to them, and they feel like they can really trust you. So hopefully that video was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have questions about this kind of stuff and you haven't yet checked out my book, check it out. I think you'll like it. There's a page on the website that says book, or a little menu thing, and if you click on it, it'll take you right to the page where you can buy the book. So thanks again, and please feel free to reach out with any comments or questions that you might have. I'm always happy to make another video addressing specific concerns, or if you feel like you would like some more detail about something that you heard in this video, leave a comment and I will address that in a future video in greater detail. Alright, have a good day.